Tonight, close your eyes and let your heart drift into a place where love tastes like time itself, where every heartbeat is a memory and every memory is a promise that never fades. This is not just a story about love, it's a story about forever. So breathe in deeply, let the world go quiet, and listen. Because somewhere between a kiss and a goodbye lies the taste of forever. The night smelled of rain and roasted coffee. The city lights shimmered on the wet streets, like tiny stars trapped in puddles. Inside a quiet cafe tucked at the end of a forgotten lane, Evelyn sat by the window, the same seat she'd taken every Friday for the last 3 years. She wasn't waiting for anyone anymore. Not really. She was waiting for a memory. It all began there, in that same cafe years ago. When she first met Luca, the man with a voice that sounded like a half-finished song, he had walked in drenched, holding a broken umbrella and smiling like rain didn't bother him. He'd ordered a caramel latte, sat across from her, and said something so simple, yet unforgettable. "You look like someone who's loved deeply before." Evelyn laughed that day, not because it was funny, but because no one had ever seen through her that quickly. From that moment, something gentle began. Not a storm, not a spark, just a calm pull. Like gravity, Luca was a photographer who captured the world as if every shadow had a heartbeat. Evelyn, a writer, believed stories could make people feel less alone. Together, they became a language. Her words, his images. They spent nights walking under street lamps, talking about everything and nothing. They wrote letters instead of texts, cooked meals instead of dining out, and loved in silence more than in words. Their love wasn't loud, it was steady, slow, tasting like time. Forever, it seemed, had a deadline. Luca was diagnosed with a heart condition, one that no cure could rewrite. The doctors said, maybe a year. But Luca said, let's live like we're eternal. So they did. They traveled without plans. They kissed under snowfall in Prague. They got lost in Venice and found each other again on a boat ride back to the mainland. Everywhere they went, Luca would say, remember this taste, this air, this laughter, this second, because this is forever. One evening, they sat on a beach in Santorini, watching the sun fall into the sea. Luca leaned on her shoulder and whispered, promise me, when I'm gone, you won't stop tasting life. Promise me you'll still find forever in every sunrise. She cried, he smiled, and the world seemed both cruel and beautiful at once. Months later, the cafe lights flickered again. The same rain, the same table, but only one cup of coffee. This time Luca was gone. But Evelyn could still taste him in everything. The rain, the words she wrote, even the air she breathed. She wrote a book, The Taste of Forever. It wasn't a story about losing him. It was about finding him again in every beautiful thing she still dared to feel. Years passed. Her book touched countless hearts, healing strangers who had lost someone too. And one quiet evening, a young man walked into that cafe, holding a camera. He smiled at her and said softly, my father loved this place. He always said the woman who wrote The Taste of Forever helped him believe love doesn't end. Her eyes filled with tears, because the young man's name tag said Luca Jr., and in that moment, she realized forever had never left. It had simply changed form. Love, she finally understood, never dies. It only becomes the air we breathe, the smile of a stranger, the echo of a heartbeat we once knew. That night, she closed her eyes with a soft smile. Outside, the rain whispered gently against the window, and in her dreams, Luca was waiting, still holding that broken umbrella, still smiling through the rain, because some loves don't fade. They stay, they live, they taste like forever. And now, as you drift into your own quiet night, remember, forever isn't a time. It's a feeling. It's the laughter you still hear when someone you love is gone. It's the peace that lingers when the story ends. So tonight, as sleep softly calls your name, let your heart rest in the sweetness of love that never dies. Good night, dreamer, and may you always taste forever.